faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
All right. Hey, it's Walter, and I am going to try to do a show. I actually turned up my setting on the voice quality, so hopefully it won't pick up too much background noise. Because the one thing I'm afraid of, it probably will. Anyway, if this works, it'd be great, because I always know when I listen back to when I do shows, it's even difficult for me to hear unless I turn it up. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm doing that whole mic adjustment thing. The main thing I wanted to do on a show, I was thinking about it all weekend after I heard about this, is somebody at work who apparently people have been giving a hard time to for a long time, and besides me, somebody else. And I figured out why. It dawned on me, and it might have been mentioned to me before, but I kind of just didn't really pay attention. I know some of my friend Matt would laugh about that. It's like, yeah, you never listen to anybody when they tell you stuff. But I have other stuff to talk about. I mean, I've seen so many stories on these damn refugees lately. It's just out of control, and people are just trying so hard to be politically correct on everything they do. And the problem is they haven't learned their lesson that you can't be politically correct on every specific thing. There's certain things you just can't be. And it's, there's a reason. So anyway, the main thing, like I said, I was just going to do a whole show about this, and, I probably could, because I want to keep this pretty short. It's actually the 25th now. I think I mentioned that before. So it's actually, no, wait a minute. It's the 26th now. What am I saying? It's Monday the 26th now. Why did I say it came up on my one thing as the 25th? That's weird. Well, maybe because when I was looking at it, it just turned the next morning. So anyway, I was just busy this weekend. I told some friends, I figured, my father does a lot for me, so I sold off some extra Apple laptops. I had two of them, which one was just for work, and the other one was for doing my podcast. And then I got this new one that's, solid state. So it's like, okay, I got a little bit too much anyway, and I wanted to get my dad up to date. He's actually got now a newer computer than even I owned on my Apple stuff. He has a 2017 that came out, Apple iMac, that I bought for him over the weekend. And it's actually approximately, I think, 2 weeks old, a little over 2 weeks old, that when it was first released. From the manufacturer, so you can't get any newer than that. It was released on June 5th. So yeah, it's 20 days ago. This computer was released from Apple, and most of the time people don't buy computers that quickly. It was the perfect time because my father's birthday is in another week actually, and I figured I'm just going to jump ahead and get rid of some of this stuff that I have floating around, make some room. And got a couple $100, and I put it towards a new computer for my father. I just paid the rest out of pocket. So anyway, that kept me occupied the whole weekend. I just didn't have a chance to do what I wanted to do now, and I'm really actually not in the mood to do it. Honestly, so it's gonna be really difficult tonight because I'm quite tired too. So the story, I see all these stories about sex offenders, and I've can't specify this enough, but when it's a female, they always get hyped and they get slaps on the wrist, and they're generally women anywhere from their 20s all the way up until their 50s having sexual encounters with, 4-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds. And it just seems to be just literally a slap on the wrist. It gets dismissed. So there was one, actually, it was a guy that I work with, and I honestly don't think any different of him. But he had, sorry about that, he had a sexual charge against him, and somebody actually brought it up. Now everyone knows, because somebody at my job brought it up. This one particular individual has been placed on Megan's Law, and it was at something like a third stage, which is like a higher stage of a sexual assault. And the way it sounded, it was like, oh my God, this guy's got to be like a real monster. And I'm not dismissing what he did. The guy's like, he's like 7 years older than me. He's almost 60. You know, he's pushing closer, like not quite, but he's 3/4 of the way there to being age 60. I'm 50. So I was born in 67. He was born in 1960. So you do the math. So anyway, I found an article on this guy. It's somebody I work with. And I'm not dismissing the fact what he did was right. But at the same time, people are just, really hammering this man to the point like I get ostracized at my job. I get treated like dog crap. And I hate to tell you, there's a couple people that I, know at where I work that are females that have had sexual, misdemeanors or whatever, not with children, but sexual crimes or whatever, and they don't get reprimanded or ostracized or, really just put through a wall by other people, being humiliated. But when you're a guy, that's a different story. Then everything changes, and that's a major problem. So anyway, I looked up this particular person's name. I found him, and it said Allentown teacher headed to prison for inappropriate contact. This is a Lower Stafford man, and former Allentown school district teacher is headed to prison for having inappropriate physical contact with a 12-year-old girl who was a daughter of his friends. So I saw that, and I didn't go any further. I really should have. Now, when this happens, I have a date when this happened. I'm not going to give his name. They have everything plastered on this poor man. I'm going to keep that out. Anyway, I already gave his date of birth. That's more than enough information on him. But this crime actually happened. It had a date. It said convicted on the 20th of May, 2009. So I didn't go any further, and then I read more onto it, and it kind of struck a light bulb in my head. I mean, most of these real sex crimes that I've heard about recently, this happened almost 10 years ago? Not quite, but it's getting close. And most of these are like women who, are school teachers, and they physically are having sexual penetration. They are sexually assaulting children, having sex with children. And apparently it just gets like a high five and everything else. But with this guy, it was like, oh my God, because I asked somebody I work with, and they said, yeah, I think he actually had the girl that he had sexually assaulted, he had her give him oral sex. And it was like, so I was like, really, he wasn't sure, because you hear, he as well as me heard all these rumors. So I had to do some soul search in it, and it wasn't that hard. He's like plastered all over the internet on old articles. So then I looked at what was considered, what is making this man's life for the rest of his life, in fact, a living hell. I mean, like, people are really giving this guy the third degree. Now, again, I'm not dismissing what he did was, right, or that it was, in any way inappropriate behavior. But at the same time, I am going to say that it's a little ridiculous how they reprimand a male, or how society looks at a male for doing something that's less offensive than they do for a female who does something like literally for months on end or years on end have sexual relationships. And these are married women. That I find very, confusing and very offensive. Like, okay, you should, like I've always said in the past, you should have the punishment fit the crime. So anyway, I looked at this person's verdict and what had happened, and it was basically, and I said, this girl is traumatized by this whole ordeal that when it happened, this 12-year-old. And I'm not saying it was or wasn't, but apparently, I don't care what you say, and I've heard from a friend that say, well, girls are more susceptible to, they get, take it more seriously if they get sexually assaulted than a little boy will. I kind of disagree. I think it's probably the same for both. That's just an excuse to, say, oh, that's okay. If a woman has a sexual encounter with a man, a little boy, that's okay because, that saying that it's not as a boy's not going to take it as seriously as a girl is basically dismissing the fact that you don't know. You're just trying to validate something that's just very inappropriate, just considering from what source it's coming from. So anyway, let me cut to this chase. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this guy went through the mill. He does work where I work now, and I don't think twice about it. I tried to talk to the guy before, and I never even knew about this. So at the time, the guy was 49 when this happened. He pleaded guilty to the charges, and the charges were indecent contact which involved inappropriate touching and kissing. So basically, again, the age factor, yeah, that's very serious. But it didn't go any further than that. This man had lost his wife, that he was married to. He has a wife and kids. And yeah, it was probably a little bit screwed up, but this guy was obviously going through a emotional turmoil, was not thinking very clearly, and he had a spur-of-the-moment thing that he was not thinking properly. And they said this guy has no other criminal record. He's never had one past then. It was just, he was mourning over the... again, I'm not justifying what he did, but I'm just saying you got to look at the whole picture. Where this guy was, mourning over the death of his wife. He was definitely in a vulnerable state. And again, because I'll hear, well, Walter, do you see what the guy did? Well, yes, I do. I'm not that dumb. But I'm just saying. He's going to be for the rest of his life. He's got this, thing over his head. He's going to have to deal with the rest of his life. No matter where he moves, he's going to have to, which he did. He has an updated photo. So the photos you will find is exactly what he looks like now, today. I mean, if I go into work tomorrow, the pictures they have, mugshots, are the ones that they just recently had taken, because they look exactly like what he looks like now. So he basically did probably what I would guess the best way to put it, heavy petting. I know it's not appropriate for a 49-year-old to do that to a 12-year-old. And kissing. And yeah, that would definitely shake up any kid. But if it happened that a woman of the same age, which has happened in the past, does that to a 12-year-old little boy, then it's automatically it's all right. You don't think it affects the boy the same way. But the point is, though, it didn't go into sexual intercourse what everybody had speculated. So they're acting like this guy literally had raped this girl. Again, I'm not justifying it. Please understand, I'm not justifying this fact. But I have numerous cases probably piled up in stories tonight where there is sexual assault from a woman doing it to a little boy, but apparently that's okay because it's that whole thing that we hear about all the time in the news that it trickles down to victimization. Well, women have been repressed for so many years. This is why they do this stuff. It's the same thing with other types of minorities in society. You make an excuse up, but you know what? That's exactly what it is. It's an excuse, and it's a poor excuse. Now, what this guy went through, if the shoe was on the other foot and his sex was a female and he did the same thing, this would not be a big deal. And I'll tell you this much. They would not even make a big deal at it with this situation at work. You would never even hear about this. So to me, I kind of honestly, I feel a bit sorry for this man because he's going to be punished for the rest of his life for one stupid mistake. It wasn't something that, in my opinion, it could have been worse. It shouldn't have happened at all, yes, but it could have been worse. And you don't hear people hooting and hollering and cheering him on or just ignore. They have actually his street address. They have a photograph, a satellite photograph of his house and exactly where he is at this moment and everything. So the man, like, probably even if he tries to take a dump, they're going to know exactly when he takes one. I mean, the man is being surveillanced 24/7 practically. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not by that much. I'm telling you. Because I'm looking at it right now. It's the reason I know. So I just wanted to get this out in the open. It actually only lasted for 15 minutes, which, hey, there's some podcasts that last that long. But I always have plenty of other stories to talk about, which I'll just kind of gloss through like I always say I will, and I generally never do. But now I think I will tonight because I am extremely tired, and I got things I got to get done tomorrow, which I'm going to, as a payback, which I shouldn't do. My father, for giving me this very expensive computer, which was over $1,000. I'm going to have him running around ragged tomorrow, so I actually got to kind of relieve that. The man's almost 80 years old. I can't. That's not very nice of me, but that's just my nature. So I do got some stories. When I was digging up that one, I found this one story because this one particular young lady looks like somebody I know at work and actually probably has the same mentality rate or same type of personality. And it's kind of funny. And again, and I hate to attack women on this, but I have one light note on women, though, believe it or not. And it's on entertainment. Do you know that Wonder Woman is on the top 3 list for another week? That was on top 2 last weekend, the weekend before that, or 2 weekends before. For 2 weeks in a row, it was at number 1. So Wonder Woman now has surpassed Batman versus Superman on ticket sales. That's incredible. That is like a movie where the superhero is a female, the director is a female, the whole production team was female-based. So, they always say about this glass ceiling, well, you know what? That has surpassed any, I hate to use this word because it doesn't exist, nonsensical glass ceiling, meaning that it does not exist. It's just something fabricated by the news. Because now Wonder Woman has surpassed every type of movie pretty much. It's heading towards being like the top movie of all times, even at the ticket sale price. So that's really good. So I just got to get that in there and kind of, let a little steam out of my, what people think as me as being a misogynist. Because I'm not. Trust me. I just sound like one on my podcast, but I'm not. So anyway, it was funny when I saw this story from actually it was only 3 days ago. I didn't realize. I thought it was like a week or two ago. Because you never see this in the Norristown patch, my local area. Norristown woman is amongst Monco's most wanted after 2 DUIs, driving under influence. And this girl is only 33 years old because she got one warning for drinking under the influence, and then she got another one not too long afterwards. So now she's on the police watch list, and her name is Jennifer L. Coopersmith, 34. But again, she reminds me, just even on her picture, of somebody that I work with, where these people just, hey, I can get away with stuff because I'm the victim, and that's what happens. People, when they have this mentality rate, if you put in their head they can do anything they want and there's no consequence, they do it. And this is one individual who does, or who has been doing whatever she feels like she wants to do, because nobody's going to stop me. Well, that's got to change. And I don't know, it's probably one friend, I guess, who saying, it probably never will change, unfortunately. So, but it's not going to stop me not complaining about it. I hate to tell you that, too. Anyway, this was kind of interesting. I just to point out what kind of society we live in. I'd love to meet a woman like this on my next story from Daily Headline News. Woman quits her job to breastfeed her 36-year-old boyfriend. And the woman's not like old, but she's up there in age, and she quit her job. I think she was a bartender or something like that to breastfeed her boyfriend. Like, where can I meet women this stupid? Not that I want to be breastfed by a woman, but it's pathetic. I'll tell you that much. Okay, maybe she's the same age. I thought she was older. She's 36 also, it looks like. Another Jennifer, because I think I said the last person's name was Jennifer, from Atlanta, single when she stumbled upon a website about the practice and said she used dating sites such as like Craigslist in order to find a like-minded partner to try this out, which is adult people where the male partner wants to be breastfed by a woman. And what they have to do, the women to start to lactate, so this process could actually take place. I mean, no offense, but the couple looks pretty pathetic to begin with, but that whole situation is very, very disturbing, to say the least. So, and by the way, let's talk about disturbing stuff. There's some new show I was talking about. I really like it. I end up getting the first season. It was called Broad City. I mentioned to some friends. I never got a response back, which is no shock. But it's actually very funny. It just basically does talk about the millennial 20-something aged females, because that's what it's based upon. These two girls that are friends. They graduated college, supposedly, but they're both very lazy and incompetent. They somehow have apartments, though. But the stuff they do is so entertaining, so funny. It's just, you don't know how, it's almost like how they stay afloat, because it's like the things they do or get away with is just like in real life they would be on like welfare. They wouldn't even have a job for them to screw up at. So it is very entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It's hilarious. Again, it's called Broad City. So anyway, as I go along with my show, because it does go pretty fast even when I don't want it to, or when I want it to, when I don't want it to, I don't know. There's a story I think I just found before I started my show from Daily Headline News. Illegal alien rapes girl. Cops horrified by what else this illegal immigrant did to this kid. This was in Las Vegas, Las Vegas is starting to look like a sanctuary city, despite not being named one. They had been, lacent on illegal immigrants. I can't get that word out. My nose is itching. That's bad. On April 21st, Julio Cesar Mirando or something was arrested on charges relating to raping a 4-year-old girl and child pornography. Come to find out, he even filmed it and also threatened the poor child with a knife while in the act. So there you go. Here's this whole thing going back even a little bit towards the beginning, a few minutes ago when I started talking about this stuff. It's bad enough with the women, but you got this issue with these illegal immigrants, these migrants, these illegal immigrants. And here you got a guy that is illegally here in Las Vegas, who was making sex films. And one of the films that he was working on was with a 4-year-old. He was making a porn film with a 4-year-old little girl. So that's really fantastic. You know, you got to protect these illegal immigrants because they're so important. They're doing so much good for our society. I did find this other one just recently. There was one actually I found I didn't actually put in the pile, I don't think. Where there's this Muslim woman who was a millionaire and she got arrested or something or got caught because she was a millionaire who was living off of food stamps and welfare and actually had that Section 8 housing. So she wasn't paying for anything. And she was doing it for, I think, 20 years. But again, I don't have that article in front of me, so I can't read it. Anyway, another one from the Daily Headline News. This is one I actually found right before I went on the air. Wife of liberal D.C. lawyer earning $1.5 million arrested for welfare and food stamps. Maybe this is the same one, but this particular one doesn't have any pictures. The other one did of this woman. So I think this is actually a different one. So do you hear me? A wife of a liberal D.C. lawyer earning $1.5 million arrested for welfare and food stamp fraud. So Helen, oh wow, that is an interesting name. Mother of four, collected food stamps and Medicaid benefits from 2010 to 2016. The problem is that while she was collecting $100,000 in benefits, she was collecting $100,000 in benefits over the 6 or 7 year basis. Her husband, a D.C. lawyer, was making $1.5 million a year. So yeah, that's a real knee slapper. I'll tell you that much. I gotta send that to a friend, a coworker. Yeah, that's lovely. That is lovely. Here, love that one. Let's see. So enough of that one. Okay, here's another interesting one. It was a breaking news story from conjournal.com. Doctors call it faking, so it's more than one. It's not a apostrophe S. It's an S. Has more than one. Caught faking medical records to help migrants or immigrants get citizenship. Over 100,000 a year submit forms to immigration in Chicago alone to waiver the requirements for citizenship. The regulations say they must be able to understand English and pass a test in U.S. history and civics. But they have, well, now it's saying they have a doctor who fills out this N-648 form, and they can list any issue or language barrier that might prevent the form from meeting these requirements. So this guy kind of doctored, no puns intended, because it is a doctor, which it is only one. I apologize. Who has been letting tons, probably thousands, more than that, into the country. And it's I'm kind of cutting down. 55-year-olds. Psychiatrist told the Chicago Sun-Times. Anyway, it looks like the doctor. Now it's going back. These doctors, so it is more than one. I'm sorry, I keep on going back and forth. I really should have read this article. I did not. It says it's actually 3 doctors have already pleaded guilty. So it is more than one. So again, I apologize. I just waffle back and forth. I haven't made much sense on this story. So there is 3 already caught, and it says doctors in San Diego, Miami, and Philadelphia, which is, that's our city. That's not far from where I live. And Philadelphia have all been charged with these doctors letting these illegals in our country. These doctors are risking more than they know, and they may never practice medicine again for 200-hour forms. So they're making on each individual, and these are in the thousands, probably hundreds of thousands. And like I said, Philadelphia is one of the places. Well, let me read these again. San Diego, Miami, and Philadelphia are the 3 places they got charged, these particular doctors, individuals. But there's more than one for like doctoring and letting these illegal immigrants in our country from, they can't speak English, they can't read English. But that's okay. We're going to let them in. So, yeah, that really pissed me off. So, anyway, I want to try to keep this kind of running at a good pace so I can get every story in if I can. Now, this was really weird because this was from U.S. conservative fighters. Trans women raped more than 2,000 times after being sent to all-male prisons. So that's weird from a conservative point of view because most conservatives I always thought were against transgenders, but they're saying now, according to this, you put a person who was a guy who's gotten a sex change operation, who is now a woman, physically, you put them in a prison, all-male prison, most of these people have been getting raped. Not a big deal, but it is because it's actually from a conservative source. Around the world, transgender women face routine abuse and sexual assault in correctional centers. Now, one woman is bravely speaking out, revealing that she has been raped more than 2,000 times in Australia and an Australian all-male prison. Read below. So I'm not going to read it. You can get that, but it is from U.S. conservative fighters. So I'm assuming that's a conservative site. So I got this one wrong now, too. I apologize once again because I thought it was numerous people when it said 2,000. It's one woman who was formerly probably a male, said she's been raped 2 million times. So not 2 million times. I'm sorry, 2,000 times. God, I'm really messing up. See, this is why I shouldn't do shows when I'm tired. But you get the gist. I was kind of interested. I don't wish that upon anybody. Please, don't get me wrong. I don't wish upon anybody to get raped. Male, female, whatever. Now, there was something I seen. It's one of these kind of prolific I can't even think of the right words, web links, but it was on Facebook. This was people who submit stuff that's really inappropriate, whatever. Not inappropriate where they're doing sexual things, but it was some source of news. I don't know if it has actually hit hit actual news, or is this just stuff people post? But it's from Stedhams Our Movement. Stedhams Our Movement. So it was posted 14 hours ago. And the reason it's a video, and I felt really bad. I actually could not watch it. It was very disturbing. Guy gets caught cheating. So girlfriend poisoned his dog, and it goes WTF, which you know what that stands for. So they show this video with this dog, this poor dog. It's a cute dog. I'm not a dog lover, but this I felt really bad for. The dog gets punished for this guy, what he did. Let's see. Guy gets caught cheating, so girlfriend poisoned his dog. And I felt really bad. Again, I'm not a dog lover, but this guy, I guess he's trying to give the dog some type of counteract needle, some type of needle, and the dog is in major pain. So whatever she poisoned the damn dog with, I don't know if it killed the dog, whatever, but it's just that is really, I can't even think of the right word. That's horrible. I mean, what kind of people we have out there that you get away? I mean, I read an article the other day where this guy was some nutcase, literally stampled to death on a kitten, literally stepped on it and crushed the kitten, by stomping on it. And it's I read this stuff, and these people have no problem finding relationships. That's interesting. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that nutty, but I'm just saying. And by the way, going back to my first story, this is what I forgot I did leave out, which is what I actually wanted to talk about with this guy at work who has this sexual problem, or had a sexual problem, that I was mentioning earlier on during my podcast. The one thing I wanted to specify, because I have friends who hey, it's really important to be successful first. You're not going to get a relationship until you're really successful. Well, I hate to tell you, people, no offense to you, dude, people are social creatures. And again, I'm not going to justify what this guy did to a 12-year-old, but people need people. They need social contact. They need physical contact. Yes, it was inappropriate, but I'm just saying, when you don't get this, it's like saying, well, I don't need to eat until I make enough money so I can afford food. Well, that's true. But you go ahead and just don't eat for 6 months or a year and see how far that's going to get you. Because I hate to tell you, yes, the two most important things for human beings to survive are food for consumption and to fuel their body, and water. But people seem to think that they dismiss the fact that people also, because they are social creatures, and any animal, any living animal, needs more than just food and water. They also need social contact and social interaction and, human contact of physical contact. And when you're starve yourself of that, that is no different than starving yourself from water or any type of, solid consumption. That is a thing that humans need. So when you take that away from the equation, that's the same thing as starving them any other way. So when you say, well, hey, I got to be really successful before I find a companion, well, go right ahead. But also in that same process, you should say, oh, I'm just going to give up eating and I'm going to give up drinking. And that won't make any, that can't come until I'm very successful, because that's exactly what you're saying. Now, you're going to say I'm totally nuts and I have no clue what I'm talking about. Or you might just counteract it and say, well, yeah, you are right, but that's not necessarily true. Well, I hate to tell you. I think the reason there is so many sexual misdemeanors or sexual assaults is because people seem to try to take that out of the equation, that you don't need social contact. But yeah, you do. So when you figure that out, that is equally as important as everything else, then maybe this problem won't go away, but it'll definitely be less heard of. I'll be reading about it a lot less. Because if we don't need human contact, or if there is no, if sex is not important or whatever, or not, take out the sex part. If human contact is not important, we wouldn't have 4 billion people on this planet, or whatever it is right now. You wouldn't have anybody. So you get rid of the social contact, you have nothing. You have nothing. If you have no physical contact, you have no society. You don't have anything. So just get that in your mind. So, and if you don't eat or drink, you're not going to have anybody that way also, because everybody's going to be dead. So, you could, without the social interaction, because some people feel like, it's like having a plant almost, and you don't water it. You're going to continue to think it's going to live. No, it's going to wither up and die. But that's the same thing with food. But for humans or any animals, I'm talking about any animal, without any interaction, not only do you have reproduction, but you also are going to have a dead society, because they're going to have more emotional and mental issues as well, which you do see a lot of. So what is the biggest thing that has changed in the last 40 years from when I was a kid? Well, because I'm 50 though, but what was the biggest thing to change? The nuclear family. That doesn't exist anymore. And what do you have from not having those nuclear families? More social problems, more societal problems. Hello? Are you really that stupid not to see this? So anyway, I'm going to move on, because I'm just going to babble on about that for the next 20 minutes and say I can't do anymore. And I don't want that to happen. Let's see. It says vesselnews.io. I've never seen .io. Teacher demands students stand up and apologize for their white privileges. So I won't go into that, because you can kind of figure out. First reported by American Lens, during the meeting of the Rockham County School Board last month, a woman named Farron Wilkins made the troubling accusations against a teacher from Western Rockham Middle School. So it goes on. You can read it. You can find it on Vessel News. I just really could care less. I just am so sick of that stuff, actually. And I know I'm wasting my time. Now, here's something really scary I saw. I think it was this night before last. Newtown Patch. I'm using night before last, even though it was probably Saturday night. The 23rd. Bucks County man had weapons of mass destruction. Now, you kind of would think of some type of terrorist that looks like they're from the Middle East. This guy is an average-looking white dude. Breaking news, a Bucks County man who was being investigated for assault was found to have weapons of mass destruction, police had said, from Warminster, PA. So isn't that wonderful? I got somebody in my back doorstep, practically, who's got weapons of mass destruction. This is what you're getting a lot of now. A lot of these idiots are just trying to jump on the bandwagon of like, hey, we got to be politically correct. And, these Muslims who are getting unequally treated, we got to jump on and protect them by, even though we're a white man, we got to make sure we destroy ourselves, the other white man, the other white males, I should say. I don't know when it's going to stop. It just seems like it's like a non-stop bunch of nonsense. Okay, a lighter note. I watched Doctor Who Saturday night, or actually Sunday morning, I should say. And for the once, it was actually very good. They brought back, that's a big change from my last story. But they brought back the original Cybermen, the very original Cybermen from Mondas. If you ever watch the one with Hartnell, that was the first regeneration, was with Doctor Who #1. His very last episode was with the Cybermen from Mondas. So they brought those Cybermen back. It says Modassian Cybermen. So unfortunately, though, the first less than 5 minutes, you see the Doctor start to regenerate because the actor is going to be leaving at the end of the series, and there's only 2 more episodes, technically 3 because of a Christmas special, which won't be until December now. So that might actually introduce a new Doctor Who before the end of next Saturday, right during the holiday weekend. I don't know yet, but they kind of inferred that, yes, it's going to take place. It was a 2-part episode this week. The second part will be on the holiday weekend. The irony is, though, not an irony, maybe that's not the right word. I actually saw the actress who is the new companion. Her name is, I'm trying to think, Pearl Mackie. I love her to death. I thought she was really good, and I asked her, because I specifically saw her face to face. I was standing as close as this mic is to my mouth. And I asked Pearl, I said, they're not going to write you off, are they? Because I said, you're the best thing that's happened. I've actually was going to give up on the TV show. When they introduced you, I wasn't sure what to expect. I told her this, and then I said, I loved you, so I love your character. I hope they're not going to write you off. And she said, I can't answer. You're just going to have to watch the upcoming shows. And then it was like, okay, she gave me a double message, because then the episode I just watched on Saturday, the first 5 minutes, they blow a hole in her through her chest, like her whole chest, you could see right through it. It was like a wind tunnel. They killed her off the first 5 or 10 minutes of the show. And it gets worse because some alien technology is placed in her, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm very upset about that. And then the actor who plays the Doctor, Peter Capaldi, mentions right off the bat, though, that the Doctor, with their alien origins, because he's a Time Lord, could, if he does or when he regenerates, he could easily become a woman next time. He could have been a woman in the past. So they kind of inferred that possibly, they're even pushing it further than they did before, that they might make the next actor a woman. Now, if I ask my one friend, he's going to say, none of this stuff is important, Walter. Well, yeah, it's not important. I understand that. And it's something I grew up with. It's like tea time in England. Tea time's not important. Cricket's not important in England. But people, it's a social thing that we all talk about. Or at least in England they do. So, bottom line is, that's not the issue. The thing is, though, it does definitely upset me tremendously thinking now that there is that possibility that they may pick a female actress. They might even go one step further and make sure she is not only a female, but a female that is not even British. So they're really just pushing the envelope beyond what they normally do. So the whole thing just does upset me. I'm looking at the spoiler. I will not read it. I've already said enough. And it's from io9gizmodo.com. And it's on a Doctor Who story that was on this past Saturday's episode. So I was upset to see her die. I didn't realize. I'm sorry about that. It was a Doctor Who thing. That she kind of by not saying something, when I asked her specifically, Pearl Mackie, they're not going to write off your character, are they? She actually did answer me in an indirect way, and I was just too naive to see it. So my jaw basically dropped to the ground when I saw what happened to her. Actually, I was deeply... I'm going to actually use that now for my thing because I'm very upset about it. I was between... I know it's just a TV show, between heartbroken and devastated to the point it was very upsetting to me. Bottom line is I was just... I was just shocked. I mean, and it's funny because for some reason, the last couple seasons of Doctor Who, it was a big deal back in the day. If you grew up when I did and you watched Adric getting killed by Cybermen, that was a big deal because it was quote unquote at the time, with Tom Baker. It was the first companion that was under the supervision of Doctor Who actually got killed. And now that's like a norm. The characters don't leave the show. They get murdered off the show. And the companions. So it's become a very politically correct, but also very morbid on how they deal with things. I'm just upset about that whole thing. Now, just let me be entertained by that. That's my source of relief is Doctor Who. And it was once again until what happened. Now I'm just really upset. Oh, another entertainment story was from pophorror.com. Get this. My favorite horror movies of all times are the Friday the 13th. It's just like, literally, it's a guilty pleasure for me. It says in some interesting news, we could be seeing the end of Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th franchise as well as we know it, because there is a disagreement between Sean Cunningham, who actually holds the rights for the character and the Friday the 13th story logo. So, for these horror films. So it says, thanks to this 1976 Copyright Act, that could very well be very well be the case. Victor Miller, the screenwriter of the original Friday the 13th, is citing the 1976 Copyright Act in an attempt to reclaim the ownership of the franchise name. So you have Sean Cunningham, who is known probably more so than Victor Miller, but Victor Miller has the copyrights. He owns the copyright to the original Friday the 13th. So this franchise was continued on through Cunningham, indirectly, and he did do certain movies more so than the other ones. But now between Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham, they want their part of what made Friday the 13th the series that we know, and for me, the series that we know and love. So this separation could mean that, they can make Friday the 13th, but they can't have Jason Voorhees, or they could have Jason Voorhees, but they can't use the slogan of Friday the 13th. So this is a pretty interesting article. I'm kind of paraphrasing it because of time restraints, because it is actually going on an hour almost. 15 more minutes, we'll be there. So you can find that on pophorror.com if you're like me and interested in that kind of stuff. Here is an article I found from michaelsmithnews.com. I have no clue who this man is, but it was very interesting. Story from Australia, I think. Even though it says .com. Latest study on refugees settled in Australia. 90% of them are on welfare. These are on refugees. 50% never held a job here or in their home country. So this particular gentleman is very upset. Refugee crisis enduring costs, labor failure, as nearly 90% of the humanitarian migrants are on welfare. 90% of them. Wow, isn't that wonderful? I don't even know what this was stated, but you can read that on michaelsmithnews.com. I got a story from, this was very sad, entertainment though, from Daily News. If you ever remember that woman who won years ago. She was kind of like average-looking lady, kind of heavy set. She won America's Got Talent. Susan Boyle, now has been assaulted by young kids. Britain's Got Talent superstar Susan Boyle is attacked by a gang of 15 youths who pelted her with some stones as she waited at a bus stop and called her an ugly old, and a blotted out but ugly old bitch. I don't think it's that big of a deal to say that. So this is what we have to deal with around the globe, what kind of people we deal with around the globe. People who attack people for no good reason. Now, Susan Boyle won America's Got Talent, or what was it? Britain's Got Talent for a good reason. She was really good, or is America's Got Talent? I thought that was, I don't even know, but this attack happened in England, so it's just very, very sad. And I know I'll hear, well, there's nothing you can do about that, Walter. Yeah, I know. But you know what? It shouldn't be happening in the first place. But I'll hear about that, too. I know about that, too. Alrighty, what's my next story? Okay, Fox 5 News in Atlanta, Parker County Parker County mom left kids in hot car to teach them a lesson. Well, that was very nice. Weatherford, Texas, a mother of two who tried to teach her children a lesson by keeping them in a hot car. Well, the kids died after being left in the hot car in May. Was arrested Friday afternoon, so this past Friday. She is 25 years old. She no longer has to worry about those kids because they're no longer alive. So congratulations, and she got arrested. So it'll be a slap on the wrist. Don't worry about it. She's not going to get any, she killed two kids, two children. That's not a big deal. Don't you know that? She's a victim. So let it go. Next story. Okay, here's one. Daily Headline News again. This was a story, again, with these Muslims. I hate to say it. I don't mean to seem like I'm being biased against them, but I can't help but being that way or doing so. Muslim marries an 8-year-old, does more than consummate on wedding night. It says an 8-year-old bride dies of vaginal injuries on their wedding night. Reports say that she was forced to marry a 40-year-old Muslim man. Now, this one in particular I'm looking at does not have a picture of the guy, but that guy looked like he was twice as old as I am. And I'm 50. This guy was 40. He looked like he was 70. But he was, because that's what they believe in. The Muslim religion believes in this. The Muslim belief, whatever you want to call it, that it's okay to marry an 8-year-old girl or even probably a 4-year-old girl. So he ends up screwing her to death. She dies of vaginal complications like vaginal injuries. A little girl, 8 years old. But there's nothing wrong with that. You should look the other way. Just turn your cheek the other way, so to speak. Alrighty, my next story. WHEP, caught on camera, police nab assault. This one was pretty funny, by the way. Suspect in a porta potty. I'm not even kidding. Muffenberg, it looks like Mufflinburg. An assault suspect was caught in an unlikely place Saturday evening in Union County, and it was in a porta-john. It's pretty funny. Wow, I'm actually running out of time. Okay, here's the stories that get the slap on the wrist because this woman is just way too hot. MTO News, kindergarten. Okay, sorry about that. Christian kindergarten teacher. Yeah, it says it is a hot woman. Gets fired after they find out that she makes very extreme adult videos. Yikes! A teacher did that. Well, this is only the 24th of June, this story. And they're going to make sure you know that this woman is super hot. We don't understand why she got fired. She makes sex films and she works with little kids, But that is okay. She's making adult films and works with little kids. But that story I mentioned at the beginning of the night with the guy I work with, that's completely inappropriate. So I can see why. I can see why. The guy's not that attractive. Maybe that's the reason. Another story from AOL.com. This one was actually recent because I was able to find it because now I use AOL Mail. I have to. It says math teacher arrested for allegedly having sex with 3 high school students. I'm leaving out who it is. A 25-year-old math teacher was arrested for after investigations discovered that they reportedly had sex with 3 other students. I am vaguely mentioning who it is because if you find out, then you're gonna be biased in one way and another, and you still will. You're gonna try to figure it out. They said that this particular teacher was in the county jail on a $20,000 bond. Well, guess what? On a less offense, meaning that, okay, it was a sexual misdemeanor, and it was, say, a male teacher. I'm not saying this is a male or female yet, but you probably already figured it out. Guess what the bail set at for a male for doing something as much as inappropriately touching a female underage? $500,000. So, okay, you figured it out now, right? It's a woman. She had sex, literally had sex. 25-year-old woman had sex with 3 underage high school students. They set her bail at $20,000. A guy pecks at a girl, which again is inappropriate, who was underage, and they set his bail at $500,000. So that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'm just telling you. Okay, I put this story in. I'm just going to kind of sneak it in real quick. It's not about sex, so you don't have to worry about it. So you can listen in. From Channel 16 News, this was on the regular news tonight, where this young girl, I think 14 years old, I don't like these things, at Six Flags, she fell off the ride. The 14-year-old suffered minor injuries after she fell from a theme park attraction in Six Flags Escape on Saturday, according to WTEN. So I don't like these particular rides. I don't like any of these kind of rides. But yeah, the young girl, 14-year-old, she was hanging for her life, and then they told her to drop, and people underneath caught her. But yeah, I don't like these rides whatsoever. I think they're all very dangerous. I don't like them. I don't take anything that leaves the ground, or these roller coasters, especially. I can't stand them. Will not go on them. I'm not that daredevilish to do that stuff. Anyway, okay, I'm running out of time, so I got 3 minutes left. Daily headline news. Another story on a Muslim brutally assaulting a female, but that's okay. Don't take it too seriously. Muslim violently rapes. That's the title. Young girl until she bleeds, whispers 4 sick words, which I don't even know what they are. Muslim man quietly followed here we go again. Muslim quietly follows a 4-year-old girl into the bathroom and locked the door behind him while viciously raping a poor girl, again 4 years old, until she bled. The devil migrant whispered 4 exasperating words into the victim's ear. Well, they won't tell you what they are, so I don't know. Despite the left's appeasement, Islam cannot be reformed and will never be fundamentally peaceful, because the Prophet Muhammad cued this to be justified. His slaughter, slavery, and sexual abuse, Muslims have no right to say that these inhumanities are un-Islamic. I'm sorry, I'm smacking my lips unintentionally. Least they admit that the prophet upon whom their entire religion and law are based was a liar. This is a lengthy one, and I'm already at the hour mark, so you can find out what this 4 secret words that he whispered in this girl's ear was by looking on Daily Headline News. And it was a crime story from the 24th of this month, which was 2 days ago now. and it's titled Muslim Violently Rapes a Young Girl Until She Bleeds. And there's that other part. But he raped a 4-year-old little girl, 4 years old. So now here's another interesting story. Dirty old Santa, this was on Fox 5, accused of traveling to meet a 14-year-old for sex. So, Philadelphia, this one. Authorities say a Philly man who referred to himself as Dirty Old Santa was arrested for traveling to meet a child for sex. Now, this was right out. This guy is going to meet a 14-year-old to have sex with her, not kissing her, to have sex. That's kind of scary that it's right here in our neighborhood, is what it says. Feeling of disgust from Melissa Clark upon learning that the 56-year-old William McKinley of Northeast Philadelphia was arrested at Ridley Township, Rita's Water Ice, for allegedly trying to meet what he thought was a 14-year-old girl. And there's more to that story. And that's on Fox 5, and it happened in Philadelphia, so you can find it on the Philly News probably. Anyway, I'm past an hour, so, interesting story. This was from Alan West. I had to put this in because I have Alan West. I follow him on Facebook. He had posted a story from Alan West on AlanWest.com. Quite possibly the scariest and the most honest video about Islam you will ever see. Raleigh Raza is a Sunni Muslim and president of Muslim Faith in Tamar. She narrates the excellent short film, The Clarion Project, called by the numbers, which looks at the opinions and demographics of Muslims worldwide. I'm going to just read off the rest by going blah, 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 because I don't want to ruin this, but this is actually on Alan West's website, and I respect this man very much so. So I would say, check out his website, look for this story. And it is titled, quite possibly, the scariest, with parentheses, and most honest, end of parentheses, video about Islam you'll ever see. I have not watched it, so I can't really comment on it. I just wanted to put it in because it is Alan West, and I do hold him in high respect. So that's why I wanted to read that. Here is a different story of another rape with a Muslim, and it's not that 14-year-old. This is a different one, as I said before. This was on June 23rd. Muslim refugees rape women to death, proclaims 7 words when court frees him. So it's titled that. Muslim refugee rapes women to death. Woman to death. Proclaims 7 words. So here's what is this 4 or 7 word? I want to know what the fucking words are. I'm sorry. After a migrant brutally raped a woman to death, he's arrested and charged with murder. However, the killer rapist was soon released to roam the streets for the next victim, proclaiming 7 sickening words to the media with a sadistic grin on his face. So that is actually found on the Daily Headline News. If you're interested, just email me and I will send you the link if you can't find it. God, I didn't think I was going to get through all these. I'm past time, so I'll just read these quickly. On Channel 16 News update: child killed in crash that shut down part of North Scranton Expressway. This just happened last night or yesterday. Scranton, Lackawanna County coroner confirms an 8-year-old girl died after a crash that shut down part of North Central Expressway in Scranton. Emergency crews responded to the scene around 3:30 p.m. Sunday. It's just, there's too many of these dangerous car accidents. I mean, where the car is beyond recognizable. And it's from these people not following or abiding by the traffic rules. So what else can I say? I have my last of my 3 stories. This is from, it looks like Manchester, eveningnews.com.uk.co.uk. Women disguised in burqa, women disguised in burqas, the thing they cover their face, their head, can't show any except their eyes, force way into a flat and attack occupants with knives and hammers. So that's really brilliant. That was a story from Manchester News. These women wearing burqas are disguised, forced their way into a flat and attack occupants inside with knives and hammers. Police have arrested a 25-year-old woman on suspicion of attempted murder following a violent attack which took place on Tuesday. Okay, so it is just one woman. Here I go again. I misused the word. Instead of women, it's a woman. Or actually, there we go again. Maybe I was wrong. It is women. Because then it says underneath, see, that's why I got to read this stuff more closely. 2 women described as wearing burqas managed to get, this is in the same story a little further down, though. 2 women described as wearing burqas managed to get inside a flat on Eldon Street in Oakham. They attacked a 20-year-old woman who was left with cuts to her arms and deep knife wounds to her torso. Oh, wow, this is longer than I thought it was. So anyways, that being the case, again, just contact me if you're interested in the link. I will gladly send it to you. But it's titled from Manchester News, Manchester Evening News.co.uk. Women, I apologize because it is more than one. I was wrong on both accounts. Women disguised in burqas force way into flat and attack occupants with knives and hammers. It just says knives and a hammer, but it's actually more than one case. So that being said, that means that there was more, and it was different incidents too. So anyway, surprisingly, I got through all my stories with just a little bit of going over, so I'm pretty happy with myself. I am unhappy with Doctor Who, and it was funny, I was actually in Walmart tonight, and I saw they released the first set of, I think her name is Bill something. Bill is the character, but it's actually, I should know my woman's name. The woman I like on Doctor Who has just gotten killed off. I'm typing it in, actually, real quick. I can't remember her name. It'll come to me. Pearl Mackie. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to scream into my thing. Boy, that really over-oscillated that. Yeah, Pearl Mackie, that might be the last we're going to see of her. And unfortunately, no one from the past, when they kill a particular companion off and they resuscitate them, generally they're brought back to be evil with... I don't know. I'm just really pissed off. Yeah, so anyway, folks, hopefully I did a good job of doing a show tonight because I didn't expect to, but I end up doing so. I apologize for my father because I'm going to have him running crazy tomorrow around, doing some crazy running. So thanks for listening to me. This is Walter from iWalter. It is only literally about 8 days away from 4th of July. Not a big thing if you're from out of the country. But in the U.S., that is Independence Day, for those who don't know, on July 4th. So, everyone, have a good one. This is Walter from iWalter, and yes, I'm signing off for now. Okay,